I hope so.
I'm recording it now. Now I'm recording it.
That's good. We have like 40,000 people in the AFIN group.
Well, you know.
So I'm gonna mute it right now. See ya.
All right. Sorry. Yeah, thanks. Yes, Chinaman. I'm losing my hair, man. Absolutely. Luckily, there's operations now, so I'm okay. I think one day I could potentially be like Elon Musk and have his, same hairline, which you should look at the before and after pictures of Elon Musk, Robin Williams, rest in peace, Matthew McConaughey, and a bunch of people who fixed their hairline. So Wayne Rooney? Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Interesting. Technology has changed a lot since then. So I'm gonna mute this, my Skype. So, but thanks for being so nice and thoughtful, Chinaman. Really appreciate it. All right, we have 22 people. I guess users will be getting hair products paying with TPay. It's really funny. I'm gonna wait like about 10 more minutes because I think that the app is giving people issues to log in. I'm gonna see if I can. Share. Oh, somebody put their address as their thing. That's funny. Oh wow, that's. I don't know if that's good or bad. To put your address. Okay, you raised your hand, Mr. 1JX7OVT. What is it? 90% of the holders are in here. That's pretty mean. I think I might have to boot Chinaman soon for being an ass. Okay.
You.
Huh?
Same sort of time, so I was going to do it.
All right, I'm muting everybody, and you're not allowed to unmute yourself. So if you have to mute, want to talk, after when there's questions, raise your hand or make a comment, and I'll unmute you so we can talk if you want. If you're English, if you're not comfortable with speaking in English, then just write it on the text and I'll reply. Okay. Oh, Norway, nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Not sure if I've spoken to you before. I don't recall Vigard. Really cold in Norway right now, right? So recording permission. We're recording right now, so we're good. We're good. All right, 30. Just save all the questions for the end. A lot to go through. My computer just got pretty slow right now. Hold on. I'm going to close some apps. Okay, 31. Okay. How was Christmas Eve? It was fine. Totally fine. Seeing some new people here, people I've never heard before. So if you ever want to have a question, save it to the end, but you can raise your hand, and then that allows you to, so I can see, and then I can reply to questions. Give it a bit more time, and then we'll get started. All right, we'll start at 2:20 my time. So in 4 minutes, we'll start. Will there be a TokenPay meetup in Thailand this year? Yeah, with McAfee, so we can all watch him eat his whatever, given his prediction will probably fail. And his propensity to tell what a ladyboy is. I'm not sure if we're willing to work on a centralized exchange. I actually think that we're going to see a lot of them fail over the next year or so. But I think I shared in the group 2 days ago how centralized exchanges not only fake their volume, that's the most innocent thing they actually do, but they actually create projects, brand them, get domain names, put fake websites, wash trade them on their exchange only, get them to top 50 ranking. And then there are some people out there who are unfortunately very, very gullible and buy projects that are just ranked high just because they're ranked high. And they pump them, and slowly they get people to join the exchange because they don't want to miss out. And then they start selling their coins a little bit by bit, and then eventually the thing collapses. So I don't know if I really want to deal with the a centralized exchange. It seems to be something that we're not very comfortable with. Yeah, regulations is definitely one of it. It's not that we're against regulations. It's just that there's so much that you could be opening yourself liability-wise as a centralized exchange owner. You not only have to have insurance, should have insurance. 90-something% of the crypto exchanges out there do not have insurance. You have to have insurance in all of the assets that are collected. You have to make sure you have extremely, really good vetting process for the employees that you hire, the contractors that you hire. You have to get insurance for that. So there's the insurance of somebody hacking, and then there's insurance of even your own employees hacking. You have to worry, you know the book of everybody, of all the clients. You know when they put everything in, you know when they put stuff out. So there are so many ways that a centralized exchange can actually be exposing themselves to massive, massive legal risk. The way we built this decentralized exchange is we don't know how much is in your wallet. Only you do. We only know when you make a transaction or a trade, but that's it. So it's very, very, very limited amount of information. Can we see that you put in orders? Yes, we can see that you made an order. We have an order ID system that's very transparent, but that's pretty much it. Reducing liability and risk on the employee level and all that stuff, that's still a concern because you have developers that are building this stuff, but it's completely different because they can't really steal any of the users' assets. It'd be very, very, very difficult. I mean, they would have to, at that point, very criminal, but they would have to figure out how to get source code into the software and do an update. And I mean, it's really dangerous because, you know, it's really hard to do that. So, but yeah, it's, centralized exchange is very difficult ballgame. Okay, let's see. So we'll get started now. All right, let's save all the questions to the end because there's a lot. I'm going to miss some of these. So remind me, the user CBJG, whatever your name is. I'll take your question first when I'm finished, okay? Okay. So, all right, the first thing I want to do is wish everybody Happy New Year. Looks like 2020 is going to be a very different year than 2019. I think it's going to be a year where we're going to get a lot more, I feel, more retail users this year than the past couple of years. And that's because I think slowly starting to get to the inflection point of having more and more good products being delivered and being out there. It's still very early. So I'm not proclaiming that there's going to be some massive wave. That's definitely not going to happen this year probably, but we are seeing green shoots in regards to the onboarding of a lot of different platforms out there. What we are seeing is that people really do care about protecting their assets more than I think before, which is I think very good. But that's because I think the people that are still left in crypto have seen how bad it is. But I think what's good is that there's now a lot more options for them. So we see a lot of good things happening for 2020. So yeah, looking forward to that. Now, before I start with everything that we're gonna do and announce, I'd like to thank a lot of the people in the community. I'm gonna name a ton of them by name, or at least their Telegram handle. I'm not gonna mention their name unless they've mentioned what their name is. For all of their contributions. I know sometimes I can't always thank everybody all the time for every little thing that they do, but I do appreciate it. I appreciate the people who are in the groups. I appreciate the people who have helped out in the beta program. I appreciate all of our employees, past and present, who have helped us. It's not easy, doing a startup. And I think that's something that we have been from the very beginning pretty open about a lot of things. And I think sometimes it's too open because startups are very volatile. You had like this article that was written about some CEO of a startup and saying how very volatile it was and the staff was having issues, and financially the actual entity was doing really well. The investors were happy, all that stuff. The VC investors, but internally the company was having issues. But I will say a lot of companies go through this stuff. It's normal. It's trying to find that identity and what is the right fit and structure for the people there. Sometimes it's the manager, sometimes it's not. And I've admitted that I've made a lot of mistakes, but we've also done a lot of good things. So, looking back on that. But anyway, I'd like to thank, and again, no particular order, but I do know there's been a lot of people here who have contributed a lot. Some have gone quiet, and I understand, but in no particular order in importance or anything like that. Just wanted to reach out and thank ELC, who's done a great job with the EFIN chats and helping us clean up a bunch of stuff. Very nice, and really appreciate people like Tom, Adam, Fonz, Dafo, TPay Viking, Dirk, Ark, and Ezekiel, who were volunteers for a very long time, and then we had them full time to work on a lot of random projects here and there. They're right now doing stuff for like SEO and helping with customer service and stuff. Bao, Captain, Delirious, Mr. Anthony, JS. There are more. I know there's more. I'm sorry if I didn't catch it, but really want to say thank you so much for everything that you guys have done. Really appreciate it. I think it's extremely important that we continue to really not only help and educate the people in our group. I know sometimes it's not easy given all the stuff that we've done, and I think maybe some of you look at performance of certain things versus what we're doing, but we are doing a lot of stuff. We have done a lot of stuff, and I think, and I know for a fact the world doesn't know, and I know that because when I introduce ourselves to people and they have no idea who we are, and that's fine. And that's changing. That's going to change, and there's a reason why that's going to change. I'll give you an example. I had a good meeting with the Litecoin Foundation. They have had some people take a little bit more responsibilities than before. The foundation is a little bit more structured from when we first started talking with them, and they will be doing a lot more with us in regards to marketing and helping get the TPay brand out there, as well as increase usage of TPay coin out there in the market. So really excited about that, okay? But I think that once we open up and launch products that are a little bit easier than what we have right now, something like online or anything like that, then we'll be able to really get the world to really know what's going on. Sometimes a lot of the media that you see is very US focused. We've been very non-US from the very beginning. So sometimes you see a lot of these news releases and stuff, and it's like US, and the reality is that the United States citizen actually doesn't really need crypto for like everyday stuff, right? For like they're not trying to like hide or like having issues with the government, right? So we're seeing stuff really pick up in Eastern Europe and parts of Latin America, Africa, stuff like that. So, but anyway, just wanted to thank again all of those people. If I missed your name, I'm really sorry. If not, just put it in the chat and I'll say, oh yeah, okay, I forgot you. Obviously, Crypto Giraffe. Wow, see, I can't believe I forgot him. But Crypto Giraffe has helped out for the past few months on the Twitter. Really appreciate that as well. So I have some notes here. So I've written a bunch of stuff, and then I will write my letter to everybody, and then that will also provide some data for stuff that's been happening on the ETH side and stuff like that. So the TokenPay merchants has officially been transferred to the block size team. What that means is that they will be 100% in control of working with the block size team. So many people question, for example, why we did, or TokenPay Swiss AG did the investment in naked brands. One of the reasons, there are many reasons, but one of the reasons was to implement our merchant services with naked brands. The thing is, their platform has been going through changes. So they were going from one platform to another, and they were still working on it. So it's really hard for us to integrate or do anything with them or any major company unless we've got our stuff, fixed and finalized on our side, but also how we can integrate with them, right? So we did the WordPress plugin already, but we haven't released it. And we'll probably do a little bit more stuff with merchants once we've finalized the WordPress stuff, and then we'll keep going there. So the problem with merchants is that it is a business that when we launched it, it was never really going to generate money or revenues. We actually made it so that it was free. And the reason why we did that was because the options that are out there are much more abundant than before. 0.1% for merchant processing isn't really not an issue, but it's not a lot of money for even the merchant. What a merchant really wants is that gateway to fiat, that's where you can charge the 1% or up to 3% in some cases, and that's potentially where we will get the margin. But our focus on merchants will be, when it's launched, is just to grow and let everybody just accept crypto and only crypto for free, no fees, nothing. I know that there are people out there that I've mentioned that Coinbase shut down their program. It's not that, I don't think they've officially shut it down. I just think that merchants have just used different options and they've just connected to Coinbase anyway. So they can use, for example, another merchant processor, but then connect to Coinbase, which will eventually convert. Also, Coinbase really doesn't allow businesses to set up accounts. They only allow personal customers because they want to make sure that it's backed by the person. I think Coinbase is actually interesting case because they've made a couple of decisions and they've shut them down. And one of them was $100 million for earn.com. And I thought that was very interesting that they actually took a $100 million loss, because that's really what it was. They said that they're changing a few things, but or using some of the tech to alter, but they've actually pretty much shut down Earn, which is, I thought, we had an idea to do something like that, but not the same. But I thought that was interesting that they shut that down, and they did shut down their merchants. But I know it's because they're focusing on their core customer. Well, they also have a lot of pressure to succeed. Obviously, they have Binance and stuff like that coming in the market. So it's things like that that we start to think about how we can differentiate so that merchants can do extremely well. And the only thing that we can think of is that it has to be free from day one, and then we have to have that gateway. Whether that gateway is through something through EFIN or through Nimic, or obviously it's all connected, or through other gateways, and we can definitely do that. But the important thing is we have to make it extremely easy to use, as many plugins as possible, and stuff like that. Also, this stuff costs money. Hiring a development team for merchants was a very expensive project. I think the issue is finding good people that are good in blockchain. It's extremely difficult. Mainly because to find a developer that's good in blockchain, they have to have first like blockchain, understand the power of blockchain, believe in how empowering blockchain is, specifically blockchain or cryptocurrency. And once they get to that level, then they can actually start to work on developing. And if you hire a developer today, whether it's a junior, a middle, or a senior, it takes them a few months to really get up to speed. Really does. Now, if they're doing blockchain stuff, like specifically like working on the blockchain, it's about 3 to 6 months. If they are working with API integrations and just kind of learning how the actual blockchain works, but actually writing code in blockchain, that's maybe a month or so just to get up to speed, again, depending on skill level, etc. So I want to mention all of that because merchants has been an albatross, because we've gone through, I believe it's been through 2 or 3 redesigns on the UI. It's been through 2 architectural designs on the back end. The first version was PHP, second version was Java, and it's still going to maintain to be Java, mainly done for security reasons and scalability and being able to find developers better than in Java than PHP. So that is one of the reasons, or there's many reasons for delays, but those are the major reasons for the delays for merchants. So it's not like, I think sometimes the perfectionist mentality that I have is that I want to make sure that the product's good, but at the same time, every product that we've created, I've always wanted to make sure that when we wake up in the morning, we don't have like some message from a developer or somebody saying, hey, we got hacked and we lost somebody's, $50,000 or whatever it was, because I don't want to ever put us or anybody in that situation where we have to, cover the loss or, have to deal with legal issues for what happened. I think that's the biggest nightmare that I have. When some of these exchanges, they got hacked, some people can hide it, some people can't. Most people actually do hide it. At least the centralized exchanges hide it. They can hide it only because they're big, or they just lie until they have nothing. So, okay, so that's that on merchants. TokenPay blockchain is being worked on still by Theo. A little bit slower now from the holidays. He will continue to work on it. Theo's committed to continue to help and work with us for at least half of 2019, with an option to extend. What's going to happen is he's done all of the protocol level stuff, and he still needs a few more weeks. He's actually published to us privately up to, I believe, August or September, all of the code that he's done. Part of it was just him polishing up, and he has it mostly all done. There's just a couple little things that he has to fix, and then of course we have to test internally. Then what BlockSize is going to be doing is the actual wallet itself. They're connecting the wallet to the actual TPay blockchain. So 2 different things, but the good thing is that UI is very similar to the EFIN one. So we're going to get rid of the more clunky version that we have now. That also means that a lot of the advanced features will be removed because we really don't want that or need them. Like, for example, the rewind chain, all that, because all of that stuff was fixed. So the goal is, if we're launching something, it should be as good as the EFIN blockchain, right? So we shouldn't have like this whole rewind thing, the syncing issues, all of that stuff will be gone. And that's one of the reasons why definitely want to push out this release. But overall, 2019 was pretty good in regards to product. We've actually released a lot of stuff. I think you can see all of the stuff that we've done with EFIN. I think we've put a lot more effort and a lot more capital into EFIN the past, I want to say 3 to 6 months, just because we see the potential that's there. We see a lot of interest. We see how the market is today, and we see that there's a lot of people who are still interested in trading and storing their crypto. And I think that's extremely important, that we still have really, really good solutions for those people today, and then be ready for the new people that want to come on board. Okay. So yeah, I think I mentioned a few of these things already. ETHN still needs a lot of development. Okay. I know people are frustrated by betas. There's a lot of products out in this world that are still betas. Sometimes some betas are years, and if it's years, they eventually get cut off. But I think for many reasons, mainly a legal reason, we mentioned beta on our product is because we don't want somebody to deposit, a ton of Bitcoin into our wallet and then there being some issue. Although we know and we confide that we have a really good product and we won't lose or anything like that, because it's just basically on the blockchain, and you can recover your wallet to other platforms, which you had it on the FAQ guide and stuff like that. So, but still, we want to make sure that when you're trading, that you are trading a certain amounts, and that's why we've lowered limits. We listen. We've lowered limits. We've done a bunch of stuff to make sure that we're always pushing and pushing and pushing, because yeah, I mean, some people make sense. If I only have like $5 worth of something and I want to sell it, why can't I? I get it. So, but we keep pushing and seeing what we can do to reduce, make it easier to use and improve easy trade. And we added a tab to buy crypto with a credit card, and with a affiliate agreement with MoonPay. So a lot of stuff that we've done, and I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of the stuff we've delivered. I think obviously the world doesn't know what we have, and that's definitely going to change. But I'm really proud of it, because I think we have to look at where we started a few years ago and where we are today. It's actually pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. It's not like we are making videos every week, saying that we're going to do it, and we never did. We actually have. And I do expect that, I think once we go online, and then once we have atomic swaps, that once we do a few months of that, we'll remove the beta. So how long will that take? I got estimates that the web version will be done by February, March. Atomic swaps will be maybe a month or two after that. We want to make sure that the web version is good first, then we can start adding the atomic swaps. So I could expect that maybe we'll have the beta lib probably removed by middle of next year, maybe Q2, beginning of Q3, and that's being very conservative. We can remove beta labels when many transactions have occurred. We can see how much we've pushed the system, and actually the benefit that we've had with the ETHN coin is that we've seen a lot of transactions happen because of the ETHN coin as the most traded pair. So we're able to see to some extent what we can push it to. So once we get to that level, then we'll probably remove the beta label. I'll obviously push to remove it earlier, but I got to do what's right or safe, because at the end of the day, we are, have a wallet, and it's really important that we always protect the users. Okay, that's really important. I think everybody has to kind of look at ETHN as not just a trading thing. ETHN is really potentially it's a platform. It's a DeFi app store where we can implement and integrate other products and services, whether we control or run the product ourselves, or we can connect to other parties to be able to put in their apps. So for example, if let's say we want to work with another entity that also has something decentralized, we can just plug and play. If they have their APIs ready, we can connect, we can put it in, and stuff like that. Like for example, like to buy crypto with a card, a very simple integration. It took maybe a week or two to actually integrate. It could have been in a few days if it were a smaller app, but we want to make sure it's all good. but that's a very good example of an app that's within Ethan, and we can add a lot of different applications. We can add games, we can add a ton of different things that will really attract and draw a lot of people. And when you have a web version of that, it becomes extremely powerful. It allows people to market, it allows people to point to even one aspect. Let's say there's an app that's really popular, or a game that's really popular, then people can go and check it out, and then, oh, look, cool, they have some trading. And so it's really a sort of funnel where when you have one product, eventually can feed off to the others. So if you look at Ethan, it's still a wallet at its core. It's got the trading as like a box here, and then you've got buy crypto with a credit card as a box, and then you've got the fiat conversion. Hopefully, once with Nimic launches that, and we can work with them, that's another box there. And then you keep on adding boxes to this basically this entity where you can do a lot of different things. Okay, and I think that's extremely powerful. And that could be a desktop, and that's going to be in the web version as well. So really excited about that. That's why the way it was built was to build a really like 20-story building where every floor has different things, and you can go to different things and use whatever it is that you want, okay, out of it. So don't look at Ethan as just like this one thing. It's eventually going to have other things to attract other people. And that's, if you look at Binance, and they have like 50 different products inside Binance, it's very similar. But what we want to do is work with projects that really protect the user, don't have too much centralization as much as possible. We all know that a lot of projects have to be centralized in the beginning to begin, and then over time have a decentralized component to that. Okay. So yeah, that's that. I just want to mention, when we first started looking at Ethan and building it, Blocksai's actually proposed, hey, we can do an Ethereum version only. It'll take 2 months and that's it. Which we thought was kind of silly, because we're not an Ethereum coin. We were pretty anti-ERC in a way, just because there were so many ERCs that were pretty bad. And we also wanted to make sure that it had Ethan and TPay and Bitcoin to be able to trade, day one of launch. So we could have actually launched Ethan much faster through Ethereum, but we didn't, because we wanted to do multi-chain. So I think these are all these decisions that we go back and forth, and we say, did we make the right decision? Did we not? And sometimes you sacrifice speed for security. And you know what? Again, we never had anybody lose anything, and I'm really happy and proud of that, to be honest. So again, Ethan needs to have web version atomic swaps. I mentioned the timeline. I think that's important to understand. So yeah, those are the two things I mentioned: Litecoin Foundation and how they're have new managers there to help us out. They're going to help us with a lot of things there. I think Token Suisse has been I've been working a lot behind the scenes. They're doing a lot of stuff. Like I mentioned in the Litecoin Summit, they are working on getting a banking license, specifically in Switzerland, which is a very long process and a very capital intensive process. So we help them out as much as we can. But we support what they're doing. We think it's really good for the industry, since there's not that many entities yet in Switzerland that actually have a banking license that are 100% dedicated to crypto. There's a few other things. I know that there's a lot of other partnerships that we've put on the back burner. It's not our fault. Some of it is our fault. But I just want to let you know that we're always talking to everybody all the time, and we always maintain communication, because that's what I feel is the right thing to do in business. One of the things that we are going to be doing is we are going to do an equity crowdfund. I'm working on a presentation now to basically present to a few different platforms and also to send to some VCs. One thing that I've noticed is that even projects that have been around for many years, all of them really have something in common. They all hire very similar PR teams. There's really about 3 or 4 PR teams in the industry that are really doing good, and they're insanely expensive. Some of them charge about $10,000 to $20,000 a month for PR only, which is like every time you see an article on Bloomberg or something and it mentions that company's name and you're like, who's this company? Guess what? A PR firm actually helped them get that. And it's very expensive, very, very expensive. So we've noticed that successful projects obviously have to have really good, strong tech teams, products that actually people value. I think that one thing that we have that a lot of projects don't have is the fact that we've had 3,000 paying members on eFin, on a decentralized exchange, which is actually very rare. In fact, we've been monitoring for the past, I want to say, Ark, I think about 2 months or so, we've been monitoring all of the volume of all of the DEXs. I think the most active DEX is Uniswap and does it between $500,000 and $2 million a day, which is very interesting. I don't know how much of it is wash trading. I don't know how much of it is because of the DAI and stuff like that, but it's a good amount. We're very, very low right now. And in order for us to be able to break even, and our costs are $50,000 just for labor. Just labor, developers. Can we cut it down? Yes. If we cut it down, that would mean that we won't be able to push out as many features. So we could cut down and then be more maintenance and just maintain what we have, or we increase, or like I said, or we maintain that level and we keep on pushing, which is what we've been doing. If we want to do marketing, PR, all that stuff, that's another $20,000, $30,000. It's a very expensive project, and I think what's important is that we cannot spend any crazy amount of money on any marketing until we have atomic swaps and a web version for eFin. That's extremely, that's already a very clear signal. So what we're planning on doing is presenting to have this all set up so that people all over the world, so accredited investors in the US, I believe, we're going to allow that. We're going to look at a few different platforms to see which one makes sense. We've been talking to, for example, Bank to the Future from even before. For a very long time, we've actually been thinking about doing this. I think one of the benefits of working, for example, with Bank to the Future is that they will allow us to accept TPay, Ethereum, Bitcoin, stuff like that. They'll give us the option to convert or to keep, which I think is really important because sometimes it's worth to keeping, sometimes it's worth converting. It really depends on the price. We'll see if we can have them accept TPay. At that point, though, if we do, we'd have to definitely cap it because we don't want to be in that situation where we have a ton and then we have to slowly sell and then we'll go into that vicious cycle of having to sell. So, but what we'll probably do is maybe look at that like kind of like a pseudo buyback. So it really depends on a lot of factors. I don't want to make any promises or any guarantees because it's still not confirmed. But hopefully sometime in the first quarter of this year, we'll be able to launch that. We do have a lot of interest. I think when you look at all of the assets of TokenPay Swiss AG, it owns 50% of block size. It's got 9.9% of TokenPay, of Token Suisse. It owns the naked brand shares, which are low right now, but they're going through a turnaround, so they can definitely go back up. It's got the 9.9% stake in the bank, and it's got trademarks as well through another entity, and then it's got a few other things. I'm trying to remember all of them off the top of my head, but of course it's got eFin, which is basically the only current revenue generating business, which is very promising. So there's a lot of stuff. We're not like some project that just has a bunch of assets. We actually have operating business, and then we have actual assets, and those assets are to complement all of the products that we've actually made. I think that's very important. Many other projects don't really do that. In fact, we've been able through, like when Nimic got on board, I mean, it was not something that they thought about, but then when they started realizing that they had to build more stuff for their ecosystem, they realized that having a banking partner would actually make sense. And the same thing with Salamantex, and there's potentially other partners as well. So, we always look at what makes sense for all the parties, and some decisions are good for them, and that's fine, but they have to also make sure that it helps TokenPay and it helps all of the stuff that we're working on and building. Okay, so I see a ton of messages. I'm not sure how much of them are messages or comments. I will go through the list. I remember I mentioned that I was going to go back to somebody's message, and then I will go down the entire list. So let's see. yeah, will we connect ETH into liquidity pools from Thorchain to drive liquidity and get better user experience? The answer is yes. The goal of ETH once we have like a web version is to be able to integrate with all of the liquidity pools as much as possible. And that includes other DEXs, that includes like using like Hummingbird, and there's a ton of them out there, but it's about picking the right ones, making sure that we're not putting in 3 different ones all the same. And we want to know who's the one that's core that has real users and who's just the aggregator. And we'll make sure we work with the best aggregator. And once we have that, then we can put them in so that way those order books are there. But we have to make sure that that it works and that we can consistently add it. So yeah, there's just so much potential with ETH. We haven't even scratched the surface. I know it's been slow. Trust me, I always want to push harder, but the reality is the amount of retail people in crypto is still very low. You can see it in the groups. You can see the decline in the Telegram groups. You can see it in the traffic. I mean, if you ever really want to look at the health of the industry in the sense of retail or not, just go to similarweb.com, type in coinmarketcap.com, and you will see the traffic. And you saw that in May, June, the traffic was 60-something million users, and now it's 30 million users. And you look at where that traffic's coming from, and you can see not only if there's a decline or an increase, but where are new people coming from. Sometimes it's coming from Vietnam, sometimes it's coming from Thailand, sometimes it's coming from Germany, which is actually VPN users from Turkey. So it's very interesting. Not all of it. Obviously, Germany's really been growing, but it's always interesting to see all of that data, and it's very unique. Where in 2017, we saw Korea, we see a lot of Japan, and now we don't really see that much anymore. We're seeing a lot of people who live in countries that really need it. And I think that's extremely, extremely interesting. So for us, like, yeah, there's a lot of potential with ETH and a lot of stuff we have to do. Trust me, there's like a list of 100 things, and we work with block size to really prioritize. Okay, we gotta do this month, this month, this month. And then after that, it's okay, do we go this way or that way? And I think it's one of those questions is, does it generate revenues? And if the answer is yes, then that's usually the highest priority. Then if this will increase security. If the answer is yes, we'll say, okay, by a factor of how much time, what's the cost? And then we'll put that on the list. If it's, oh, we got to change the color of this button, that's like it's usually one of the last things on the list. Unless it's like really urgent, where it's causing a lot of problems, like if we have like 50 support tickets because the color of the button is confusing, and then obviously we'll change it. So there's so many ideas and so many requests from people, but the level of output, costs, money, developers, you don't want to hire 100 developers and then spend $200,000 a month and then have to fire them, 2 months later because you're done. You don't want that. You'd rather have a more stable financial situation and find really good people for a very long period of time. So I hope that answers that question. Very long version. I always do this. Sorry. Maybe I'll just stick to just yes, no, maybe. Really sorry, but no, we don't have any partners in Norway. We haven't really reached out to a lot of people because I want to make sure that we had a really good, solid product that we've launched, and then once we'll do it. Let's see. Okay, Philip, thanks for your message. Really appreciate it. I think I explained my plan with Ethan, so thanks for your question. Yeah, I know, Mr. Anthony, you mentioned that thing about having a sex versus a DEX. Yeah, I understand that thought process. I really do. It's really difficult to really decide on that. It's really, at the end of the day, risks that we're willing to take or want to take. That's really it. We could launch a centralized exchange in about a month or two with already a proven order book system and stuff like that. But guess what? If we can launch it that fast, that means that many other people have probably bought or looked at that code, because you can buy something off the shelf, have looked at the code, understand like the vulnerability of that thing, and guess what? They're just waiting, and that one day we're doing really well, bye-bye. So it's a risk that we're not willing to take. Let's do a lending platform, Ethan Connect, 1%. Okay, Chinaman, if you want, you can do that yourself. Go for it, buddy, go for it. Yeah, I think I've mentioned already, what is the plan to increase Ethan adoption? There's a lot of things we can do, but again, the primary things are speed, security, usability, obviously, which that's why we said web version, and that's why we said we need atomic swaps. Pretty simple, okay? Yeah, a lot of projects say that they're releasing stuff, and then they don't, and then what? I've been talking to a few actually that are owned in China that have huge backing, and they've said they're going to launch in the US and blah, 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 blah. And they're even talking about marketing and working together. And at the end of the day, they didn't. And it's been a very long time. And it's like, you know, whatever. There's nothing I can really do. Let's see. I'm going down the messages. I'm going to go through every single question. Yes, I forgot Vivek. Vivek has actually been a very good supporter. I really appreciate all his support. I know that he harasses me about exchanges, and I think I've made mistakes in adding specific exchanges, and it was probably the, you know, one of the mistakes that I regret the most, because I added Cryptopia because a lot of people wanted me to add it, and I thought it was a pretty good platform, and it's been around for a very long time, so I was very comfortable with making that decision. But other ones I should never have done. If we ever felt uncomfortable with any of them, we told people, hey, get your TPay out. We were hearing bad things, and we try as best as possible to warn people about it. Okay, hold on. I'm going down the list. Yeah, everyone wants to know what's the future with 1031. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I think, and I don't want to talk on their behalf, but 1031 is in Germany. A lot of regulations are going to start probably there. They already have a foundation of what they can do. They just mentioned in the news that banks can now hold and store crypto, which is very positive. But I can't really talk about a lot of their roadmap, because they have to go through a process. And then once that process is a 100% officially green lighted, then even a month or so later after that, then the bank actually makes an announcement. So I sometimes don't get all the information all the time, and that's because they have to do their job, and they have to be quiet, and they have to do what they have to do, make sure that that we're not jumping the gun. And I meant we as in them, but they can't be jumping the gun, because it's very, very, very dangerous to do that. I would rather have them be silent for 2 or 3 months, working behind the scenes, than giving updates once a month. And I'll tell you why. Updates on new products, I mean, they can always give updates, but because I don't want any government to just have an issue and say, no, you did this. And unfortunately, we have to like be really, really careful. So that's just the way it is. Okay. Okay, I'm going through the list. I'm going to reply to real good questions. All right, some of the stuff is silly. All right. Okay, I'm still by. I think all of the guys that are cursing at each other, and you know, you guys should just go somewhere and drink beer and maybe get a room or something. All right. I'm just entertained reading this. Okay, I'm going to remove a few people here. Okay, if I'm removing you. All right, TP Viking. All righty, looking to see if there's any real good questions. Oh my God. Okay, so somebody asked about the order limit. Actually, that's the limit that I was given from the block size team in regards to the blockchain. I think we need to see if there was a way we can increase more orders, but still only allow 20 at a time happening. That's just the issue with the system we have. I believe with atomic swaps that will be solved because it's more instant. So I do believe that that can help limitations. So I'll get you a more of a better picture once that's out there, okay? A good question. If Fonz, I think I answered your question. What are the plans for 2020 related to TPay and EFIN? I believe I mentioned that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Can TPay even be listed on Coinbase to earn program? That's a very good question. So we've talked to Coinbase. The main reason why we couldn't add Coinbase is because they wanted to see the TPay blockchain upgraded. So that's very important. That's because they require us to have a third-party security audit firm review all of our to remove all of our to review all of our code to make sure there's any vulnerabilities. So they require that. And then I don't know what the other behind the deal scenes costs are in regards to what other projects did, because they probably paid a lot of money to be added. So, okay. Jason, I recruited a lot of partners in Platinum. Yeah, I think all of you have to understand that we understand that some stuff has been slow off the gate, but we're always thinking of what benefits we can continue to add for the people who have helped us from the very, very beginning. And this is why we communicate and we keep on saying, like, for example, the Platinum members, We're going to give them free trading for a couple more years. The rev share really has to have an impact if we did about like 1 million a day of volume, because 1 million would be about $1,000 a day in revenues multiplied by 30 days. That would be 30,000, and then you have about 3,000 people. That would be 30,000 divided by 3,000. You're looking at what, $10? So we need a lot of revenue in order for the revenue share to really kick in. And it's been this chicken and egg where we don't have the web, we don't have atomic swaps, and you also have like not many retail people involved in crypto still. So that's kind of the issue, is do people really care about DEXs? Do we make it so easy to use that it doesn't feel like a DEX? And I think that's the goal. Can we make it feel like it doesn't feel like a DEX? That's number one. If you can make it feel like it's not a DEX, but it is a DEX, where they have full control, and it's online, then at that point, you have a potential inflection point. So that's really, so what I mean by that is that every month we reevaluate what we've done, what's going on, how far we are, what's the expiration dates, how can we keep on adding more value. So 3 months from now, there's other things that we can do, but always consider that we're always thinking about the people that helped us. And we do really appreciate all the partners and platinum members that eventually helped us day one. So always looking to give, okay? And once we do that, we'll add more projects. If we have to extend the expiration date for platinum members, specifically platinum members, we can. We'll say, you know what, you'll get revenue share not only for this year, but maybe next year and the year after. I mean, because given the amounts versus partners. Partners, it's a little bit different because the price was actually not a lot considering all of the benefits that you got or getting. And I think if you really trade on ETH every day, you actually can get a lot more benefits. If you just bought the partnership and expected, to be a millionaire the next day, then I'm sorry, but that's not what we ever intended to, or ever said or sold or anything that was ever going to happen. Because a membership at the end of the day is a membership, and that's it. So, but yeah, we're always continue to keep on adding value, and I think that's important. Yes, the GitHub is updated privately to us. I can show you guys screenshots and videos of what's been published. Once it's ready and the block size team has been able to give the go ahead, then we'll release it publicly. Okay, but I'll send you guys and girls any of the screenshots that we have from the GitHub that I have privately, and I can show you, hey, look, this is the last update, et cetera, et cetera. And the conversations that we have, that I have with Theo and the block size team. So yes, we have some trolls today, absolutely. I think I already talked about the Even web version. Yes, of course we have plans to get ETH on CMC. I want to get it on the web version first. It's super easy. We just have to fill out the application. We already did one version of the application, but there's a lot of stuff that they want, and we have to build some of it. Actually, we already built the connection for the prices, but we definitely just wanted to have it up. It's like we have it on CMC, great, and then people have to download an app, and a lot of newbies don't really care about that. But if it's an online version, it's just going to help hypergrowth it once we start like releasing it. So that's important. So yeah, the payout right now, I think I mentioned already the number of transactions, how much we've collected. Oh, I think it's definitely less than even like $500 to $1,000 for the past 2 months, November, December. We're gonna hold that, and we'll pay that out when the transaction is larger, so that we don't lose it on the dust. But we'll pay it out when it makes sense to. But We'll release, if anything, maybe the addresses of where we're collecting all of this stuff. But actually, they're not hard to track. Actually, it's all there. It's very transparent, actually. So, but yeah, there's about 5 addresses where we monitor, and you can see all of the transactions and how much has been collected so far and stuff like that. Bug problems after every update. You know, the block size team tests as best as they can. Sometimes they push releases faster than maybe they should. Usually what happens is we test for a week, and they've been asking sometimes to test for 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes something that will look like a minor update ends up being something that causes the bug. So part of it is learning new things, learning what's going on here, what function is working here. Sometimes it's just we need more testing time. So there's a few things that, for example, that we had, and then we tested, and then we said, hey, you know what, we're going to delay the release like another week. You know, we'll do more of that if that makes sense. Next coins added to ETH, that'll definitely depend on a lot of factors, but we'll definitely add ERC20s first from any and all large communities, and even the small ones that make sense. We definitely have to have a you know, kind of a threshold, and we'll have like maybe a certain amount by this month, and that's it. And then we'll say, okay, anybody else going forward has to pay a certain amount, and then we'll go from there. Hey, Philip, yes, if I ever go to Zurich, I'll let you know. When open source, whenever the code is ready, we'll definitely open source everything that we can, okay? Anything that's proprietary to us, we're gonna keep it proprietary. It's just the way we built everything. When we did the buyback, it was definitely a bad decision. That was definitely a bad decision at that price. A lot of projects didn't even do any buyback, and we did. And looking back, it was actually the worst, one of the worst decisions, actually. We went and did a buyback at like $2, or I think it was a 30,000 or 40,000 sats or something like that. So very big mistake. And think about it, what we could have done to the buyback back then. We could have bought back almost all of our coins now at like, you know, 1,000 sats, which is insane. Alrighty, I'm still by 3:05 p.m. Mr. C, I don't know who that is. So lots of pairs added on the ETH and DUX, but zero trading idea if this will change soon or create custom orders to get going. Advertising in the Telegram groups. Okay, good questions. The liquidity bot was a way for people to put in orders, and all of those, not many people are. We believe that with the liquidity bot, when we start adding other coins and we have a web version and we pull other order books, that'll help. So we know it's very, very, very hard to get new people to come in with all of those assets. And think about, you need to have hundreds and hundreds of people of that specific coin project to be trading on the DEX to have a really liquid, very good, very deep order book. So in the meantime, if we have aggregators, we'll be able to pull from all those other ones, and then you'll see a much more full order book. Again, all of this stuff was done, and we figured that maybe even 5 or 10 people would try it out, and they have. They've actually been some trades on some of the pairs. Also, it's TPay is the base pair of those, so that's not accurate. Even if we work with aggregators, they would need to be with the Ethereum, which hasn't even been done yet. So again, so much still more to do, so much more. I mean, that's why I said beta label would be probably removed by second quarter, third quarter this year. But all this stuff costs money, so you know it's always something. Infinitesimal protocol, I believe, is something that we've pushed back, but something that I believe we will work on sometime in 2020. But haven't really decided when or what's going on. It could be a different project. It could be run by somebody else. I can't do anything anymore. I'm pretty much loaded with ETH and TokenPay stuff. So I believe with CBET, go to their group, but they've taken a snapshot of everybody of addresses of how much CBET they have. They just removed it from the ETH wallets. And I think they're going to be porting to an ERC20 from its own custom blockchain, just because it costs a lot of money to maintain and run that. But they will do a snapshot and they will definitely compensate. I believe that's what they told me, and that's been what's been communicated. So please contact them about that. And that's it. Happy New Year, Mo. Alrighty. All right, guys. I think that's about it. I don't think there's any real good questions here. Everybody else here is just talking crap. Alrighty. There we go. All right, everybody. Bye. Thanks a lot for participating. Really appreciate it. If you guys have any other questions, just send it to me through DM on Telegram or email at team@tokenpay.com. Okay. Alrighty. All right, guys. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for your help and your support. And it's not easy, all of the stuff that we've been going through, but we keep pushing, we keep pushing, we keep pushing, and I won't stop. Okay, guys, I won't stop. It's not easy sometimes for me. I've gone through a lot of personal stuff I've had to deal with. Traveling has definitely not helped my health. I've gotten sick a few times. So all I'm saying is that I'm pushing as hard as I can. Okay. So thanks a lot for everything and have a good weekend. Bye-bye.